All right, it is 5 o'clock. We'll go ahead and get started. I'd like to call this meeting to order. I'd like to inform the public about the location of the Open Meetings Act. It's posted in the council chambers and accessible to members of the public. Going to get started with a roll call. Dover.
Aye.
Gerhart.
Present.
Rasmussen.
Here.
Temple.
Here.
Truex.
Here.
Wolf.
Here.
Bailey.
Here.
Robinson. All right. The first motion, we'll look for a motion to approve the full agenda for tonight.
I'll make that motion.
And a motion and a second.
Second.
All right. It'll give consideration approval of the minutes of the June 2022-2023 Parks Board meeting. Looking for a motion.
Make the motion.
I'll second.
We vote.
Yes. Yes.
Please vote. Starting with Ms. Bailey.
Are we using that? Or?
No, it's not.
Oh,
it's not on.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
And all not in favor, same sign. Motion passed. All right. And third motion for tonight is request to approve the landscape design for the first Ambrosch roundabout. I'll be looking to entertain a motion for that.
I'll entertain that motion. Yeah.
We'll discuss after we move the motion. Second. Go ahead and please vote.
Now we need a.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Hey, Ron, here's the agenda for you.
Thank you. And for discussion, Nate Powell.
Okay. Yep. Sorry, I have so many new things coming up on you on your second meeting already, but we've got some important things that we're doing. One of the things that we do in Parks and Rec is we maintain our a lot of our roundabouts and streetscaping, and so we'd like to bring those designs to you ahead of time for recommendation to the council. And this is the design that we're presenting for you. This isn't the design this isn't the roundabout or the road. We're only talking about the flowers and landscaping. And we also want to have a centerpiece, a center art piece in there at some point. We don't have anything identified at this time, but I'm seeking approval of the landscape design that you see in front of you today.
Any timeline on that, Nate?
I don't have the timeline on the streetscaping. Sorry, I can't get that to you today.
Anyone else discussion?
Oops.
And this isn't regarding any budgetary motion, this is just the list.
This is just the design as correct. And you can see the stones in there. That would be on the these areas right here are the stones, the rocks that look like this one right here. We're looking for some no-mow type grasses, some prairie, and some flowers as well.
All right, looking for a motion to approve the design of the first Ambrosch roundabout.
I'd like to make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Please vote.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Motion carries. Item number 7 on the current business is we request to review and determine the future direction of the Trail Advisory Board. Look for a motion to request to review that, and we can discuss.
I will make the motion.
I'll second.
And please vote.
Yes.
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 All right, and for discussion, Nate Powell.
I don't have a handout for you on this, but we have not had a trail meeting for a couple of years. I know because I'm getting close to my second year here, and we haven't met since I've been here. So it's prior to me coming. I can't tell you the date, but I wanted to talk to the board about what the direction that would be, if the board would be interested in serving as the Trail Advisory Board, or if they would like to continue to have a separate committee for the Trail Advisory Board. Either way, I think the trail, their recommendations would start here. So.
I would say with, new construction of trails going on in the city and wanting to connect down to Taha, I would think it'd be important to continue with the trail advisory and maybe get it revamped back up and running. I'd be interested to see what everybody else would have to say.
Is there a current sitting board?
I think they're all expired. We would have to revisit that from scratch. Yep. I don't.
So
I'd
what
have to-
department actually heads that it wasn't going anywhere? Or was
Before I
it-
came, I'm not sure,
So they're really,
but I'm taking an active role helping out with the trails. Yep.
And this is just Taha, or are there other trails?
Trails throughout the city. So this would be bike trails.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Are you looking for this to be like a subcommittee of ours in a way?
That would be how it would act right now, I would believe. But we're, for efficiency, it'd be nice to have the Parks and Rec Board helping out and actually serving as the Trail Advisory Board, so we can just bring it here and keep that moving along. Because parks and trails often come together. Johnson Park's going to be an important discussion about trails and how we're going to connect all that. And so it's difficult when the park board is saying one thing and a trail committee saying another.
I think it makes sense to have that as one, just because it is all tied together.
We would like, that's what I would like, if that's at all possible. I'd ask for a vote to recommend that to council.
I make a motion to recommend that the Parks Board take over the Trail Board.
I'd second.
Please vote.
Yes.
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 All right. Motion carries to review that with the city council for the Trail Advisory Board. Could we go down to number 9 for the other business, do the reports first, and come back to number 8? Is that a possibility?
Absolutely.
Okay. Let's go ahead and start with our monthly supervisor reports. I believe I have Mr. Light. Is Mr. Light here? Yeah. One of you two want to go first?
I can go first. What we've done since the last board meeting, we transplanted 2 trees from Brosh Avenue. One was a stop sign, and one was the roundabout construction. We took one to downtown, and we moved one to 7th Street on our corridor between Passawalk and Michigan Avenue that were, took the place of dead trees. We transplanted 4 trees from East Grove Avenue to the 7th Street corridor, and that was because they were running a sewer extension out there for the new truck stop out there. We did the Big Bang Boom cleanup, June 30th through July 2nd, and the Music in the Park, July 6th, setup and cleanup. We had our well worked on that we brought up last, and that was done on July 13th. We went from 450 gallons per minute before the work to about 850 after the work they done, and went from 48 pounds of pressure to 60 pounds of pressure. And I looked at the lake this morning down by the well, and I can see it's been coming up a couple inches, but with our drought, but I can see improvement in there. The current projects we have going on is the watering of the trees and flowers. We started removing equipment from Johnson's Park and preparing for the dirt work, and placed a couple solenoids at Embrace Park. Some of the stuff that's not on the list that I did, we borrowed equipment from the street department to take 6 inches of dirt for the new pump track down at the skate park. We will be working on, in the future, on, we have to remove the old playground equipment at Liberty Bell before the kaboom thing, and we'll probably try and wait closer to the kaboom, and I believe that start date is August 14th. And then we're working on bids to do some concrete work up at the Skyview shop. And then we'll just be helping as needed be at Johnson's Park and at the pump park. And that's what we have going on through ours. Yes.
Will the Liberty Bell equipment be sold or donated?
Well,
or?
it's all old, and I don't think there's no, it's probably just be tore out. What we run into is all that stuff is cemented in, same thing at Johnson's Park. And when you go to pull it out, you bend the structures, so there ain't a lot of save to it. You know, we wish we could, you know, save it, but we save a few horses from Johnson's Park, and we're gonna try and save the retaining wall, or the rock climbing wall from there.
Good.
Thank you, Mr. Lysy.
I'm technically in charge out at Taha right now, so I'm going to give you what we're doing out there. Working on the bridge, you guys know that. We reopened to the public. I got to do a few modifications on it. That's what I'm working on right now. Met with Game and Parks this last week to discuss the vegetation in the lake. We've got a couple different kinds of stuff going on there. Some of the stuff's growing up off the bottom. Some of it's like a green film over the top, so we've got to spray it actually twice. We got sprayed once yesterday. We're going to try and spray it either tomorrow or Monday with another chemical to kill the fine, the really fine, small green silt that's on top, and that's what's causing that smell. If you go out there, there's nothing. The Game and Parks guys were saying they've seen it a lot worse in other lakes, but we're just trying to get it cleaned up now. So, like I said, we'll be doing that next week, or either tomorrow or next week. We'll be spraying it again. I've been working with Merit Mechanical on the heater install at Aquaventure. That actually we got started up today. Last I knew it was running fine. We got to do a few modifications on it in a couple weeks when the rep from Raypack comes and actually sits down with us, and we'll go over the operation a little bit better than what we got today. But right now we're functioning. It is heating the pool. So been sending some of my help up last week with Mike's crew to work on the Johnson's Park tear down. Spraying noxious weeds around the park. We've got a lot of Texas Sanders. I don't know if that's what we always call them. So we're trying to keep those under control, and it just seems like the minute you spray them, you find them somewhere else because they just track everywhere with the mower. So had Fisher Tree Service come take a couple trees out for us 2 weeks ago. They're kind of out of these are big old cottonwoods, and we've gotten a couple that got hollow. They've got hollow, either they're completely hollow or they got hit by lightning or something, but anyway, they're a danger, so we had them taken down. We just had them take them down, though we cleaned them up ourselves. Not sure if that was money well spent or not, because it's a lot of work to clean up those big cottonwood trees, but anyway. After the last windstorm, we had a whole day of cleaning up after that, all the trees and limbs, or all the branches that were down. And we just have our daily cleanup of the bathrooms and maintenance of the bathrooms, things like that. Daily field prep for the baseball and softball games, and then just daily maintenance of the park facilities. Future projects, what's going on right now, or at least what I'm working on. We have to get bids to install the field 2 backstop. We got the poles in. I think we had kind of planned on doing it ourselves. We got the poles in and realized there's really no way we have the manpower or the equipment to install them ourselves. So we're going to get bids to have somebody come and put the poles in. We should be able to do the rest ourselves, but not putting the poles in. Bid and purchase pole padding for Field 4. I've already done that. I just got to sign the bid and get that done tomorrow, and then they'll build them for us. We're supposed to get bids for water and sewer to all the campground sites. I don't know what the timeline is for that. If we're just getting bids to see if it's feasible right now, we'll see where we get on that. Work with water to get the hydrant replaced by Field 5. They started that today. They're gonna finish that in the morning. Get bids for the dog park sprinkler project. I have not started that yet. We'll get on that as soon as we get a little bit of time. We're really short on help right now, so hopefully we get some people hired. Work with Love Signs on dog park sign. They got that ordered. That's coming. We're just basically moving the dog park sign. It's on a painted 4x4 base right now. We're gonna move it. We had the couple of my seasonals built flower beds on either side of the gate. I don't know if you've been out there and seen that. We're gonna move the dog park sign inside of that and put it on a nicer pedestal, so it's not old painted wood that chips, and so it'll look a lot nicer. And then work with Love Signs on the downtown, River Point signage and Taha signage. I've been waiting for PJ to get back to, we were kind of working on that together, so. And that's what I got going on.
With the trees that were removed, will there be new trees replanted?
Oh, we're always planting new trees.
Okay.
But these are, we've just got a lot of old cottonwoods out there.
Sure. The campground area you said, or just Taha in general?
I've got one in the campground area
Yeah.
right now that I need to get taken out. I mean, it's $2,500 to have Fisher come down and take a tree. But if you've ever watched Fisher take a 100-foot tall cottonwood down, I wouldn't want to do it. So, but yeah, they come out with their big bucket, and they can go all the way to the top and just start trimming branches from the top down. So, but that's why we've cleaned it up ourselves. I thought it'd save us some money, and I mean, it saves us money, but there's just a lot of work cleaning up an old cottonwood, so.
And with the Johnson Park tear down or
Equipment, is that getting relocated somewhere, or what is happening with that?
For the most part, when we pull it apart or take it apart, all the screws that go, or the bolts that go in there, they got something called Loctite on them, and that don't come out real easy, and you gotta heat them. So a lot of that, most of that equipment is plastic. To heat them, you would melt the surface. So, for the most part, there's not much saved to that. The horses, and like I said, the climbing wall, but unless you've ever seen it, there's big concrete balls that come out when you pull the post out, and it bends it. So there's not a lot of save to it. We try to salvage what we were able to.
Oh, you tried, selling it?
Salvage it.
Or salvaging it, okay, okay.
They're made to be put up, not taken down
Yeah.
for good reason.
Okay.
So, otherwise you'd have kids unscrewing screws and
Mm-hmm.
doing things to them that don't want to happen.
Okay, Ronald B. I'll talk about a little bit of the recreation side of things that are going on. Right now, we're still working with our active website, which is a good avenue for people to be able to register for activities, sign up for campgrounds, different things like that. We have been working on making a process for schools and clubs down the road to be able to put their schedule in our active system, which will be very handy for our staff and for the people involved doing it. So that has been a big point of emphasis for us for scheduling for anything at Taha, Memorial, all the we're working right now with all the fall stuff that needs to be scheduled, and working with the schools to be able to get that done. The things that we're just kind of wrapping up is a lot of our summer recreation. We had some summer recreation camps, and we had pretty good participation for all those age groups. So that was exciting, something new. We did a lot of the stuff at Aquaventure. We utilized the fields, and we're able to do a bunch of different activities with the kids out there. So we're still hoping to get a little bit more push for that as we go forward. We still have a lot of our partnership activities going. We have traditional hockey, skateboard school, gardening. We still have movie nights once a week, so those things are still continuing throughout the summer. a lot of things I'm preparing for now is our fall catalog, which will have a lot of youth, adults, and we're working to partner with the senior center and do some senior activities out there too. So a lot of new stuff that the recreation is bringing, which is exciting, but just still trying to get the word out that we have a lot of programs coming. Like I said, and with Active, we're really trying to work with these schools and clubs and get those activities signed up for scheduling for the staff, so everybody kind of knows what's going on there. So those are the main things on the recreation side right now.
I just have a few items that were mentioned, working through the master plan process. This week, we've been working on the benchmark analysis where we're looking at communities of our size throughout Nebraska and seeing where we come in on our staffing levels, our budgets, and we'll have all those reports in the master plan. We finished up the survey, or we're very close to finishing up the survey, probably go out by the end of the week. That's the survey that will be mailed to 25% of the community. They'll be able to fill it out and mail it back. That'll be our statistically valid survey. We will also have online, and we'll have other ways for people to take that survey, even if they don't receive it. So we're working on that. That process continues. They'll be out here August 29th through the 31st to present some of their findings and talk to the board about where we're at that time. This is going to go on until probably through March, so we'll continue to work through the master plan for the next several months. Nothing new to present to you, just getting all the information together to present, and that's what they're working on right now. And we talked about pretty much everything else here. Yep. I guess that's all I have for now, unless you have any questions.
Nate, I got a question about the master planning. As you come to your draft, can you walk through your thoughts of how we then engage the community in that before it comes to the board for action?
Yeah, so it won't come to the board for action until March. Right now, that's the process we're going through, is the public process. And on August 29th, we'll have a public open house after we present the findings for the public to comment on those findings. That's one of the avenues of many that we'll do along the way to keep the public engaged in this process.
Is that something that we can have discussion on about that public process?
Absolutely.
Because I think that's something that we can improve upon with getting the public involved in this master planning. Because that is what I've heard, is that people felt like there wasn't enough time to dialogue on these items, and they felt maybe that was possibly a negative in the outcome of the previous initiative. So I'm just throwing that out there. It's my opinion, but
Absolutely,
okay.
absolutely. We'll be able to have that in our August meeting. We'll be having that presentation, and we'll be able to actually have that dialogue here right with the board about how we plan on going through that the next several months. So through the winter, and how to engage the public and make sure the board is supportive of what we're doing. Any other questions?
Any other open topics on any concerns from the board?
I just want to make a comment. I really appreciated the initiative you're working on to include seniors in your activities and families, and I'm curious, I guess, what kind of programs you envision just collaborating with people of all age groups doing programs together.
Sure. A lot of things we're talking about senior chair workouts. There's band workouts that we can do. So we're going to do kind of a workout session. We'll also have like game nights. We're talking about bingo, card nights, all sorts of different things like that. So we're trying to do a kind of a variety of thought processes to do it 2 or 3 times a month, where we will just be there at the senior center, and hopefully we'll have that out in our fall guide too, so people can also see that too. We get more eyeballs on it, so hopefully other people are coming out there to partake in some of that stuff. So yeah, I mean, we're pretty excited about that different avenue as well.
And the idea would be to bring youth and seniors together.
That's correct. So actually, the partnership is nice. We'll do some senior things and yes, some youth things. We'll also do them separate. So to be able to utilize that space too is really nice. We can use the nice open space for even an event like arts and crafts for the kids, or we can do a family time for grandma and kids to be able to come and do a project together. So yeah, that's definitely in the works. I'm still working with the senior center right now on just nailing down exactly what we want to have happen. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Thanks.
Anybody else?
I have a question about the skate park, the new track that's going in. Do you have a timeline on that?
Construction should start August 1st. It's probably even before August 1st, so it's coming up. They haven't given me a date yet, but August 1st is when they are going to come. They're going to let me know if they're going to come early. What we've done to date is we just did the prep work. We had to take off the topsoil and prepare for them to come in.
You had mentioned the calendar and scheduling system, and I was wondering what can all be put on that system? Is that just city organized events, or if there's a public organization or whatever, could something else be scheduled on there, or what's the limitations of that system?
Really, like on the side that I'm scheduling things is really more on the sports field side. So a lot of things at Memorial. We also have a park calendar as well. So people are scheduling things in our parks. We also have a calendar for that too. So any events at parks, but I schedule more of the stuff that's like the activities at Memorial, things like that.
Okay. We'll move to item number 8. It's a discussion for the proposed parks and recreation fees. I believe Nate has a PowerPoint for us to show some numbers
Yes, we can get started.
before we get to the discussion.
We'll have everybody sign in. If any of you come up to talk, well, I'll need you to sign in with your full name. Please.
So I'm going to give some history here. We haven't talked fees in a while, and this has actually been waiting for the board for about 9 months. It's been sitting on my desk. We knew it was coming at some point, and we wanted to start the dialogue on fees here. And tonight is just a discussion, and we're not voting on anything. I'm looking what I need to take back and bring back next month. And then we'd hopefully have something for council in September. What you see here is our history of our revenue and our, let me move that up a little bit. Actually, this is our revenue and our expenses, our historical, since 2001, you can see our revenue is fairly flat. That's an indication of no increase in fees. If you look here, the jump in 2011 to 2012, that would be Aquaventure, and so that's where you had your big jump here. If you look at 2020, that would be COVID, and no other increases in fees in over 20 years. And I've seen it back to 1981 where we have not had much of an increase of fees. So this conversation hasn't been had for quite a while. If you look at our expenses, though, they continue to increase. If you look at the jump here, this would be where they, I believe, where they combined recreation and parks together. But still pretty flat since 2014, not too much increases, but it is a gradual increase. If you were to look at that closer, that's what that would show. I don't know about the anomaly here. Could be just bad data, I'm not sure. So that's our history. And when you look at the gap in Parks and Rec, we're looking at cost recovery This is where, how much you're recouping of your costs. This was Aquaventure when they opened. We were recouping 30% that summer of our costs, operating costs for Parks and Rec. That's continually declining. That happens when you don't increase fees. Is you're just losing dollars. You're not recouping the costs that you once recouped. If you look historically, this is the data that I've been able to gather. Pretty flat for a while, but Aquaventure had a pretty good jump in revenue, of course, as you can imagine. Okay, fee comparisons. We might jump back to this if we need to. The fees that we're proposing is a practice fee of $10 per athlete per team. I'm sorry, per athlete. The softball, baseball field uses would be $20 per day per field, and that's what we have over here. These are other cities in comparisons. It's a really hard thing to compare because fees are all over the board in different communities, so it's hardly apples to apples, but you can get an idea of what other communities are charging. When you get into artificial turf, those fees go up significantly, and we'll get into that as well here. I do have some high fees up to $750 for those that don't have practice fees with us, those that are coming in from out of town. And we'll go ahead and get into that. I'll go ahead and pull up the fees. We'll go through each of those, and then it'd be good to give the public a chance to weigh in and say how it might affect them, so we can hopefully develop some solutions and recommendations. We'll get to that. I guess I'll go over our goals real quick, is just to set, get our cost recovery back to that 30% and set the goals. That'll be a goal you set through our master plan process, but that's a standard. I saw Columbus's cost recovery today, and they're at 33%. So we'll be able to see what other communities, where they're at on cost recovery. We want to bring our levels up to other comparable cities is what we're trying to do, and simplify it. We have tournament fees, and yet we have agreements where the practice fee includes games. So how do you determine whether or not it's a game or a tournament? I think we're just kind of letting them kind of decide. And so if they want to call it a game, it's free and included. If they want to call it a tournament, they charge. We have to charge. So it's kind of confusing on that. We do have gate fees when we have tournaments, but we want to let the clubs just keep all their gate fees. We don't want to touch that. We want to just deal with that in the fee structure. So let me go to the fees. I'm just going to bring it up on the spreadsheet here. Okay, this will work. So I'll go through each of the fees and the ones that we have increases on, and if you have any questions, let me know as we go. We'll start with Aquaventure. The day pass would go for 55 and up, would go from $7 to $8. For ages 4 to 15, from 6 to 7. Day passes for all others would be 8 to 9. No increase in single season passes, just because we don't have much use of that, and so we want to keep that there. We're thinking for a season pass, a group of 6 would be 2.75 times the season pass, which would put us at 275. Each individual group, so if you take that 275 and divide it by 6, that's about $45 per person, and when each person above the 6 So if you have a seventh person, you would add $45 onto that rate. Special event pass would go from $5 to $6. Pool rentals stays the same. Private swim lessons would go from, that would stay the same. And then swim lessons would be $50 that's for the whole class, correct?
That's correct.
Yep. And then birthday parties would stay the same. Life jacket rentals and season lockers would all stay the same. So this is where we're eliminating a lot of the tournament fees that are not used because game fees are included. This would be a practice fee of $10, and rather than a team fee, $10 per athlete. This would be for all age groups. And then there would be a $20 per day per game fee. It'd be per day, not per game, per day per field, I'm sorry. I would exempt fields 4 and 5 because of the awkwardness of the shape of those fields. When they put in the roads, they didn't go around the field, they went through them and cut them off. So I'm not sure, what was happening there, but that's why we have some short distances there. And then $10 for all other sports as well. I should say up front, this has nothing to do with the school agreements that we already have in place with Northeast and North Fork Public Schools. That's separate. This is mainly for your associations and clubs that we work with on a regular basis. Again, if you have a practice contract for only Memorial Field, it would go from $10 to $15. If you do not have a practice contract and you want to use Memorial Field, that's where the $750, that stays the same from where it's been. These are the history all the way back to 2012. And it'd be $1,000 for the adult clubs that want to use our fields at Memorial or the football field. We also want to have a maintenance fee of $15 for anyone that wants to request staff to be on site during tournaments or during their games, and also any requests for Diamond Dry, we would want to pass that fee along to the team that's requesting it. And then all your shelter rentals would go up by $10 for each category except the stage at Skyview, which is just limited rental. We want to encourage rental as much as we can. Our camping would go from 24 to 26 and 16 to 18 for the tent. And if there's any questions, and then it'd be good to have the public if they want to.
Any questions from the board?
Yeah, I know I asked about this last week after the meeting, but can you talk a little bit about scholarships for kids that couldn't afford swim lessons or the daily rate?
Yeah, we offer an opportunity for people to contact. What they do is they contact me. I direct them to the Coalition Center, and then they get some paperwork and stuff filled out. Then that comes back to us, and it's documented. And we have agreement with them on the stuff that they get done. We know that then we can be doing assistance. So we've been able to do assistance with recreation programs and stuff at Aquaventure. So whenever anybody ever signs up for any kind of thing, activity pass or anything, it's always in there that says, please contact us if you're looking for some assistance in these areas, and we try to accommodate the best we can.
Okay, is that utilized quite a bit?
Not as much as I thought it would be this year, I'll be honest. We probably ended up with 10 individuals just this year. It's relatively a new thing. I think sometimes people might skip past it too when they're reading the information. But we try to get it out when we are putting out our different programs and stuff, and we try to say, hey, please contact us if you need assistance. So I do think though it'll take off in the future a little bit more.
Yeah, I just wouldn't want anyone to not have access. You know, if the fees going up, I understand that it is important to get that recovery, but especially, I mean, swimming lessons is a safety
Right.
issue, and then just recreation in general for anyone to not be able to participate.
I
So as
completely
far
agree.
as team fees, I mean, if a kid couldn't afford it, would that be up to the team then to offer those scholarships?
Yes.
That wouldn't come through the city?
Yes, that
Okay.
wouldn't come through the city. We also have opportunities where, and we reached out to some of these clubs and stuff, like Rec Baseball is a good example. They partnered with us this last summer. So if they partner with us, the team, they're under the city. So the fees and stuff for them they don't exist because they're working with the city, and basically they're under the city's umbrella for that. So that's something we're trying. It's another way for us to be able to encourage people to be able to do to just partner with us and work with more and let people know that we want recreation to be encouraged and people to be able to take that avenue as well.
Any other board members?
Well, I also think it's important that you have access for all, but I also think it's important that everybody understands the matrix that is used to determine that. So I don't know if you have that information or if that can be shared at a future meeting. How is it determined who gets the waiver or who doesn't? You know, there's got to be a guideline in there somewhere.
You mean kind of for recreation fees and stuff? How are we determining those? I'll be honest, with our fees a lot this first year especially, we were really just trying to get it off the board. So a lot of things have been we try to make them very, very affordable. For example, this summer recreation camp that we just had was $25 a person, and that was for 4 days, 4.5 hours every single day that you can drop your kid off. So we were trying to make it so it was very, it's just an avenue for people to be able to take for that. So that's kind of how we've approached it right away, is more of, we had a lot of programs, $15, $10, we were trying to make it so it was an avenue for people to be able to take on that for recreation at least. So that's kind of how we've approached it. Now, obviously, as more stuff comes in and prices and stuff, we can adjust that stuff as time goes on. So, but that's how we've approached it so far.
And were you talking about the matrix?
I guess
for-
my question is, it's more what income determines who qualifies. And I'm just thinking as this moves
I
on,
understand.
you know, maybe you have a sliding scale where you get reduced or it's totally free.
Yeah.
And I think then you have maybe donors in the public say, you know, I want to fund this fund that is
Sure.
covering these waivers. And at the end of the day, it's revenue neutral. I
Sure.
think potentially that could happen.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. For what we've determined for a discount is Coalition Center really kind of checks our Medicaid, different things that they could be using right now, and they fill out the paperwork for that. So that has been right now the basic process. If we are just determining what the family is using to Medicaid is a big one, or food stamps, different things like that, and they put that information down, and then we kind of, like I said, we work with them. On that information, they basically help us determine, yeah, this family will qualify, and the reason we partnered with them is to be able to help with that, because it's kind of out of my field of expertise to know that, but it's a little bit more down their alley. So at this point, that is the process. So I mean, maybe can get more evolved over time, but that's kind of how we started it for this first year.
You have 2 stages listed on there. You got the Skyview stage. Is the other one the Central Park, like bandstand, or?
That's correct.
Yeah, okay. And then other question, group passes for Aquaventure, is that just any group of 6 people, or are there
That's
parameters?
correct. Yeah.
Okay.
It used to be a family pass up until, I don't have the fee prior to the family, but it was 2017, it became the group of 6 pass.
One question I have is on the day pass. It looks like, are you removing that option for the group day pass? Is that no longer going to be an option
You just don't have it
for?
No,
Well-
this one right here.
Yeah, that one.
Person that would have that answer is not here today.
I mean, we still use the group day pass right now unless you're getting rid of it.
I would bring that back at the next meeting when we, I'll make sure we make note of that and have that answered for you.
Okay.
Yep,
Yeah, I'm just curious why it's being eliminated.
yep. Miss Evans is not here today to answer that question.
As far as Aquaventure, it's a reasonable season pass. Like if you compare it to Pawnee Plunge in Columbus, it's like $400, I believe, for a year or season. But they do offer punch cards, which would, a person that couldn't afford the $275 could buy a punch card for $150, and their child could use that throughout this summer for entrance and snacks or whatever. Just a thought.
I think that's a good idea because you got a lot of kids where they're in baseball and all kinds of stuff. And maybe they can be there 10 times, but it's not worth buying the pass, you know, something like that.
I don't know if this is something you could bring back when we talk about the group day pass, but if there, I would be interested to see how many groups are using just the day passes. Like if a large family came to town, and that would help them
Yeah,
be able to
actually,
get in.
I do have those numbers, and it's not utilized very much. I'll say that.
Okay, good discussion. We'll go ahead and open the floor to the public. Each individual, please sign in once again, and then you are limited to 3 minutes per person. And Melissa will be keeping time on that for us. So,
I'm Dave Faust. I'm the president of the Norfolk Softball Association. And I might need more than 3 minutes, so I might have to come up 10 times. But I'm here to discuss fees. I've discussed it with the city staff several times already. Little history, the city gave Norfolk Softball Association, they formed that 45 years ago, and we've ran adult recreation ever since. So we've been in charge of that for 45 years. We work with Pat Mercy a lot. Now we're working with Nate. We recommend not raising fees, and I'll explain why. We've had our fees set, and we hire the umpires, we hire the people that works things for us, we do the scheduling, we buy the balls, we supply everything. And the city supplies the fields, basically. And we pay a fee already. I've got the fee built in. And a lot of my board is here tonight, and a lot of the coaches are here. And they'll back me up on this, that our fees are already in there. We charge every team $435, depends on how many games, might be $450. So they're already getting charged $400 and some, and that's with everything in it. And we're just making it. We're not making a fortune. We're not buying cars for everybody. We're just making it to have a recreation program. We've been doing this for 45 years, as I've said. And it started out where softball is just like the water park, just like the city parks. You got to have some services for Norfolk, or people won't come here with their kids. They won't bring their manufacturing plants here because there's nothing to do. The city supplies a lot of recreation, a lot of parks, and they don't make a dime. Aquaventure made a bunch of money the first year because it was brand new. Everybody came, and then it leveled off, and you saw how it dropped. They lose money every year at Aquaventure. You lose money in your parks every year because the parks don't give you nothing. It just comes out of the budget, and people play on them, but you don't make a dime. So a lot of recreation in town, you're going to lose money forever. But you got to have it to make Norfolk prosper and to make it so people have things to do. Well, our softball has the largest, we have the largest base. We have the most teams of any group in Norfolk by far. And we play on 3 fields. We play on the least fields of anybody. We have 3 fields for 40 teams. Let's just take Golden Girls, which is very popular. They have like 7 fields, more than twice as many fields, and they have like 8 teams. Same with Kelly's girls, same with the baseball people. They have little groups, but they don't even equal anything close, and they are all playing on 7 to 10 fields. So we have the least amount of fields with the biggest group, which I'm not opposed to that because we're making it go. But I'm just saying, if you raise fees, it's going to put a hardship on our program because I've already got them in there. They're already paying $435. I've talked to city staff. We've kicked around different numbers. Doubling our fees was one. Tripling our fees was one. Well, if I double our fees, we're going to be in the 800s. And I can tell you, every coach out here, you ask them if they're going to have a team next year with $800 fee, they're not. So we'll be done. So I'm telling you that we need to keep the fees low and try and do what you're doing now is using your budget. And I think your budget's going to grow next year because Madison County put a tax on every home in Madison County. Every one of your homes got a tax. And I called the county, and it's going to be millions, close to $10 million income for the county. And a lot of it's coming to the city of Norfolk because we're the biggest city, where they've got the most homes. And it's not all going to the parks, but a good chunk of it will go to the parks. So you're going to make a lot of money on that budget. His budget's going to get bigger. Plus, the city council passed higher taxes, which again pays a lot of the bills in town. Some of that's going to go to city parks, so his budget's going to go up a little more. So at most, maybe we wait a year or two and see how much the budget increases, see how everything levels off, and then see where we're at. But we're asking right now, and I've visited with a few councilmen, they kind of agree with me that we could kill a program if we raise budgets. And even baseball, I'm not here for baseball, but if you raise little kids baseball and every parent's kicking in that money, and all of a sudden that doubles, their kid's not gonna play next year, you know. It's gonna hurt Norfolk for athletics if we do some of these, so just be careful. I'm not telling you what to do, I'm asking you if you'll just consider what it would do if you just raise it. Sure, it'll make Nate's budget look great, and that'll help him, but there might be other ways, like this tax money might do it, and there might be other ways. We might be able to get more tournaments in town. Ron's told you about his new little computer system, which sometimes works, but they're working some of the bugs out of it. So we get all that worked out, we can get more tournaments in town, which bring more money to town, which makes the Chamber of Commerce happy because all the motels are full, people are eating, people are getting gas. It'll help Norfolk in different ways. So I'm just asking that you look at that and think about what would happen if we raise them too high. Do you guys have any questions for me?
How many players per team?
We have about 10 to 15, and this is just adults. We have about 10 to 15. Some just get by with 10. Takes 10 to play. Some have extra people that don't play even. They just are there, but I'd say a good 12 to 13 players. And we have 40 teams, and it's in the 7, 8, 900s how many people play in our program. So it adds up, but they're the homeowners, they're the adults, they're the parents of the family. They're already paying that tax and that county tax, and they just can't keep paying. You know, they won't pay my fees if they can't pay it. So I got to be careful. If I raise my fees, which I can't, if I raise them too high, it'll kill the program. So.
Do your teams do any fundraising on their own?
No, not the adults don't. Some of the adults have sponsors, like they'll go out, they go to the bar after every game, so the bar says, all right, I'll pay your fee, so you keep coming back. But a lot of them, all the players kick in, so that's those parents again that are paying those taxes that say, yeah, I can't afford to play anymore, because I got kids, I'm in the, the little kids baseball, I can't afford it, so they'll start dropping out, and pretty soon teams will be extinct because of the money. And like I said, the parks don't ever make money. And Aquaventure was very rare that first year, but it's been down since. And it's nobody's fault. That's just the way it is. It levels off. People quit coming from out of town because now Columbus has a new one. Grand Island built a new one. It's that thing. You go wherever it's the thing to do. But we have a good Aquaventure. They have a good turnout, but it's just not enough to pay all the expenses because as Nate will tell you, it costs a lot of money. He's told me, I got a lot of money in those fields out there. Well, I know, I've been doing this for 45 years, and it costs a lot of money, but it costs the players a lot of money to buy the bats, the balls, trophies, umpires.
If fees do need to be raised, do you see fundraising with your adult programs as an option? Throw in
It's
a
an
fundraiser?
option,
Mhm.
but I don't see hardly anybody doing it. Because again, they're busy, they have kids, they have homes, they don't, they could get their church to help them. We have a church league, could get their church maybe to raise money, but when the church raises money, well, the church needs the money too. So here's a little bit for you, So it's an option, but we've had that option and not very many people take that option. Not saying they wouldn't, but I don't think they would. It'd take more like some government grant to help pay our fees so we can play on our fields, because it's just, right now the burden's on the coaches. They gotta go out and find a sponsor, they gotta go out and raise the money, they gotta beg their players to give them $25, $35 a piece. And after a while, it's just like, we don't wanna do it anymore.
Sure.
So,
Well, thank you, Mr. Faust.
Yeah.
Appreciate your words.
any other questions? No?
You mentioned umpires. Is anyone else employed through your fees?
No, we pay nobody but the umpires. Scheduler, we do. We schedule the umpire, we pay the umpire scheduler. Our scheduler for our league, we do not though. We should, but we don't. He does it for us. But, yeah, we don't pay anybody but the umpires, and we do pay somebody to schedule the umpires so that we can keep going. But our guy that schedules all of our games, he doesn't ask for any money. And we do have it where if he does, we'll pay him, but he knows we don't have any funds left, so he just doing it for the team, so. Yeah, when we get done, I always write up what these guys are paying their money for. I list how much trophies are, which after COVID, they tripled. And I didn't raise the fees because I've been working with trophy companies. Balls doubled, and I've been working with people on balls to keep that price down. But someday the dam's gonna break, and I'm gonna have to raise for balls, raise for umpires, raise for trophies, and I'm gonna lose a lot of teams. And recreation in Norfolk under softball may be done, so that's how close it is, so.
Dave, would you say in the last 10 years you've had an increase in teams?
No. And when I was playing, which was a few years ago, we had 100 teams in Norfolk. And then about 20 years ago, it dropped to 50. That was mainly the baby boomers started getting older. And so you got to the main people. And now we held 50 for like 10 years, then it dropped to 45, now we're down to 40. So it's going the wrong direction because the baby boomers are getting older. Their kids are playing golf and frisbees and stuff that they didn't have when I was a kid. So there's more to do in Norfolk. He's got golf courses out on the parks, and they're used quite a bit. And he's got a lot of other things that we didn't have, and so people are going different directions. And they play baseball. They used to graduate up into adult softball. Now it's very few that do that. So unfortunately, it's going down, and the few that we have are keeping alive. They're having kids as fast as they can, but it ain't gonna cut it, so. Any other questions?
I can go ahead and fill you in a little bit more
Sure.
about the process here.
Thank you, Mr. Faust.
I'll let you know. Yeah. If I have a question, I'll let you know. We have talked with all the associations. I'd be curious if there's another association here that besides the softball club. Is there anyone else? Kelly's. Would you like to speak? That'd be great. Yes, thank you.
I'm Tina Kastmeyer. I am the treasurer at Kelly's Fast Pitch Softball. Been in town 30 years. So I agree with everything Dave says about the fees. We try to keep ours as low as we can. We do have fundraising to offset the fees. We also give scholarships to girls who cannot afford it because we want every girl to have the option to play softball if they can. And that number seems to go up every year. They come to the board, they give us a hardship case. We've never turned anybody down. That's just the way it is. We also have people who, my husband and I, for one, we have paid for girls to play in the past, just because they want to play. Last year we paid for 2 girls to play. Our fundraising still doesn't offset everything. So I'll just give you a little example. Like this last season for our 8s, we would have paid we paid $150 to the city because it was $75 per team and we had 2 teams. So with your proposed changes, just for the 8s next summer alone would cost us $690. Now the 8s, our fee is $75 for them to play. That doesn't even cover because they get a uniform with that, they get equipment with that, our insurance and everything. So that doesn't even cover it. So we're already losing on the 8s. And if we're going to increase by another $500, we'd have to increase their fees also. And that's just not feasible. So we also had tournaments. We brought 2 tournaments to town. We were going to have 3, but they didn't have enough for the league tournament for the 16-18 U team because they just chose to go to different tournaments. So we did have 2 tournaments that we ran. Our first tournament, we had 49 teams, and our second term, we had 39 teams. And next summer, we will bring at least 54 teams because we're going to host the 12s, 14s, 16s, and 18s district tournament here. We already put that out for bid to the state. So if you roughly think about that, I know because we also had to pay 5% of our registration fees for the tournaments back to the city. So I think when he said there was no tournament fees, there actually is tournament fees because we're paying 5% back to the city for everybody who registers for our tournament. We either do that or the gate fee, and it seems like the registration fee is always higher, so that's what we go by. So if we think about it in a rough estimate, when we had that 49 teams, every hotel in Norfolk was full. Every campground was full. People were staying in West Point, Wayne, anywhere they could find, because these people are coming from Omaha, Sioux Falls, South Dakota. So it's not just Norfolk people. And when we play like during the week.
Don't forget Canada.
Oh yeah, Canada too. Yes, we had 2 teams from Canada. So, and during the week when we play, we are part of the Logan Valley League. So people are coming from other cities. They're not just they're coming from Norfolk. We have them coming from Fremont, Arlington, Grand Island, Sioux City, Yankton. They're coming from all over. So that's also bringing revenue weekly. Now, we only have access to 3 fields unless we have a tournament. Then we have access to 1, 2, and 3. Otherwise, we have access to A, B, and then sometimes 4, and we alternate with the Golden Girls on that. So I'm just asking you to not raise fees because then we have to raise fees and we're gonna probably lose a whole lot of players. And we're actually gonna have 2 more teams for the fall. So I'm just asking you to take that all into consideration when you guys think about this.
I have a question. How many teams do you have with Kelly's?
We have 8 this year.
8 teams, and how many athletes on each team?
There's anywhere from 10 to 15.
Okay.
So I figured it out. We had like 96 girls. So fees next year just for the girls would be like $960 if we maintained.
And what do you pay with your tournament fees?
5% of the registration fee. So like the registration fee, I think we set it's different for like districts and league tournament. For our tournament it was $350, so we would do 5% of $350, and then districts is set by the state, and that was $275. And then we have to pay, we had to pay back $3,500 because obviously they get a share of that. We ended up getting $100 out of the $275 that we kept for districts per team. Any other questions?
Yeah, I mean, looking at the comparison charts, it does look like other cities are charging quite a bit more in fees. Do you know how your total team fees compare with some of these other cities?
We're the lowest in town, I'll tell you that. Omaha, they're gonna charge anywhere up to $2,500 for a player. That's just Omaha. Obviously, their facilities are a whole lot better than what Taha looks. I mean, I know the repairs are going on, but yeah. And there's no way any of us could afford that down there. And that's why we choose to stay here. And then, but with our 8 teams, there's somebody always playing on a Tuesday, Thursday, and then if we have a tournament on a weekend. Anything else?
Thank you.
Thank you, Tina.
Was that the only other club?
Dave Faust again. I just want to say something about her program. When you look at these fees and the charts, they can vary. Like she said, Omaha can be up to 225. Omaha has elite clubs where they get the kid from Papillion, kid from Millard, kid from Omaha, kid from Lincoln, put a super team together, and they travel the whole United States. Those guys are paying major dollars. So if they report, well, here we're paying $225 a kid. Well, the normal guy's paying 10 to 15. So you got to read the charts for what they stand for too. So remember that.
Any other public comment?
The only thing I can say is we did meet with all the clubs. This is the first I heard Kelly's speak up. They've all had a chance to let us know their concerns before coming here. I did heard from Mr. Faust, of course, and we were looking at considering some options. I was waiting until after the public comments, though. Okay.
My name's Jeff Bohr. I got the longest tenure on the softball league. Just because Leila Riga retired, finally. But I've played in this league for 46 years. Softball Association has ran it perfectly for 46 years. There's never been a problem for 46 years. And our fees did go up. You're showing everything's going the same, but our fees did go up about 5 years ago when we started paying the city more money. We never paid, what was it? It was free. Yeah, it was free. And now all of a sudden it's $70, $80 a team. Well, we're eating that. We're adults. I put all 5 of my kids through baseball, softball, premier plans. I'm last. I'm not going to give my money so my kids can't play. My kids are going to play. Fundraising, that's a great idea, except for I work 50 hours a week. I belong to my church and I'm very active in my church. I have no time to fundraise. We're adults. If we're going to fundraise, we're going to fundraise for our kids. That's who we're going to fundraise for. And when we have local restaurants, they support the kids. They laugh at us if we ask them for money for us. Like Dave says, we get sponsors, but there's not a sponsor out there that wants to pay $800 to get his team out on the ball field for 3 months. It's just impossible to do. I'm actually the president of the church league in Norfolk. We will not have a church league in Norfolk. We are the last one in the state. And we will not have a church league in Norfolk if we're paying $700 or $800 a team. There's not a church in Norfolk that wants to throw that kind of money out just so some guys can go play softball. We'll have our private. You guys will lose the money because we'll still play, but we'll play on the field when the fields are empty, and we'll still play each other. And then you get no money. So if you want to raise fees, you're going to lose money because you're going to lose teams, you're going to lose leagues, and I don't want the kids to suffer. I agree with Ms. Kastmeyer. The kids need to be able to play. Norfolk's so far behind Lincoln, Omaha, Fremont, because these kids are not getting enough coaching, enough playing, and now we're going to make it even harder for them to play. I have a good friend that takes her kids to Omaha because of the coaching, because she's getting better coaching down there. These kids, a lot of them are BC students. They're not going to get Regents scholarships. So their way to get through college is their sports. Well, we're falling behind because we don't offer what the bigger cities offer for coaching, for facilities. Oh, by the way, our facilities have been promised to be updated for 25 years. 0 improvements in 25 years. 0. And we're paying every year. We have 0 improvements. About 10 years ago, we put a new turf or a new sand mixture on the field. My team is the one that actually spread it for nothing. We did it for free. So we're not costing the city money, we're making the city money. Any questions for me? I'm also an official, and our umpires are not too many here, are very underpaid. They make half of what I do for 2 hours, and they're doing the same thing for 4 hours. So if you want to, if you guys want to take over, those are going to go up as well, because the umpires aren't going to work for the city for what we're paying them.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff.
Just a few things, and just to bring the board up to speed, we are investing $1.6 million into the softball fields this year, and we're also applying for a grant to start building the next softball complex to the north of that, and that we did in our master plan, and hopefully get our first field built. We're leveraging those funds to do that. So we are wanting to invest. We are overusing 3 fields. There are certain groups that have to get pushed aside, don't have restrooms or don't have concessions nearby. That happens often, and it usually happens with the fast pitch groups. We want to make sure that everybody has access and equal access. We can't make these improvements and pay for the upkeep of those improvements without some increase in fees. It's something that has to happen to be able to do those things, but we are investing in softball.
But to be fair, Nate,
Go ahead.
a big chunk of that investment was because NPS and the college
That's correct.
put some major money down.
That's correct.
So, can we have a little open discussion here at this point?
Absolutely.
Okay. And I don't know how quickly you want to move on the fee topic, but I think there's a lot of valid points that I've not only shared tonight, but prior to that. And I'm not immune to softball. 3 of my daughters played softball over the years. Kelly's, Impact, Golden Girls, Norfolk High, all those things. And I know we have to not only maintain our facilities, but the facilities are terrible. They've been woefully let go. Now, we can finger point all we want. Should have been this, should have been that, but this is the issue in front of us. And yes, there's other taxes and so forth, but there's no guarantee that's going to a recreation budget. So there's another board that makes that decision. So there's a lot of moving parts, and I'm not against fees and all that, but I think if we look at fees, we're going to have to crosswalk that to people exactly how that's being used and how it's being reinvested. And just like property taxes, you can't have a 1-year valuation jump of 30%, not expect people to be upset, So, I get all that. So I don't know how quickly you want to move on this, but myself personally, we need more discussion time and how to implement it. And because, there's a point made, and it's 100% true. Recreation in a city is an investment. It's not a break-even deal. Aquaventure is never going to be that way when it's only open for 8 weeks. And then maybe 8 weeks is being generous, in a northern climate and that kind of stuff. So, but we have infrastructure that has to be dealt with. And, you and I have talked about that and so forth, and we know that. And then also on this fee thing, and I know you discussed, but I think it needs to be shared as well, the public school, the Catholic school, the Lutheran school, there is also major fees that are being charged for the use of the football that never were there before. 6-figure type numbers now that are coming out as potential and cost savings. And I understand that, okay? But once again, how is that going to correlate to where's that going in the infrastructure improvement and so forth? Your cost of labor, it's doubled. I get that. I know that. Your supplies and all those things, just like the clubs have said. So, I don't know when you were planning on an action item for this, but,
So it's a discussion. So generally, we do this before our budget cycle,
Okay.
which has to be approved by council in September.
Okay, so we got some time
So
to,
we would meet again next month with any recommendations here today. If the fee's too high, what's that number? What we're proposing here is we're proposing $10 per athlete, instead of 70 or 40, depending on what group you're in. And we're also proposing a usage-based fee for the $20 per day per field, because the ones that are using it more should pay more. Generally, the ones that are using less should pay less. Right now, it's just equal across the board. It's not a fair system.
And I'm not
Yeah.
against any of that as well, but it's been stated, and it's a fact that we need, I think there needs to be a definite commitment to how that is being reinvested into facilities and so forth, because that has not happened.
And that could be a
And-
recommendation from the board as
Right.
part of your, what you want to recommend to council, and have them review that recommendation on, increased fees for softball would go into the softball complex or something.
Right, and
of that nature.
and that's what should the budget look like? What's reasonable? City council has to deal with a whole lot of other things that, streets and so forth. And, and the initiative was loud and clear that people weren't prepared for that level of investment up front, because that's what a lot of it was about. And so I think we just got to spend some time on how we walk through this. And this is just Bill's opinion, so I'm not speaking on anything else, okay?
Nate, we could have a working session with this group, correct?
We could, yes.
Yeah. Because I think month by month, it's harder to get things accomplished, and we could have more of a working session, potentially. Yeah.
This is a huge topic,
Yeah. Yep, it has
Uh,
not been, we haven't had this discussion. We wanted to have a public discussion. This is.
It's a great
this
place
is-
to start.
This is public facilities, and we want to
Yeah.
make sure we get this right. We do have ideas that I can put before you, or, as to cap an increase, and nobody pays more than X amount of dollars. For a while, we can increase that cap, like let's say a $3,000 cap or a $2,500 cap, something where you're no one's going to have to pay too much, or that would be one idea, or lowering the fees for adult softball league. We've talked about partnerships with the Parks and Rec, which we haven't done for a while. Their fee in 1981 was $2,000. They paid $2,200 last year. So that's what we're facing. And yeah, it's worked it's worked for them, but what I've heard tonight, it hasn't worked for us because we haven't improved our facilities. So
Well, I don't think it's worked. I mean, the proof's in the pudding. When you go out to the softball complex, that's the results of that. But we just, as we walk into this, it's, when you go from zero to something else, we just, the initial shock value, and I think we got to just think through that and allow people a time to react and think through it, and
Absolutely.
Those things.
And that's why we're having that discussion today. So if there's anything else.
Sir, if you can come up and sign the paper after Mr. Faust. Yep.
Dave Faust again. Thank you, Bill, for your comments. I just have one thing that I have to say. Nate got the money from the schools and the college, to remodel the complex. They call it the complex 1, 2, and 3. That's our 3 fields that we play on. Nate and I have had several discussions, and we're working it out. But 2 options: if you put a permanent fence on that field, because the high school needs a closer fence, the college needs a closer fence. So if you put a permanent fence on that field is no longer available to us, because now you got a permanent fence that we will hit over every time somebody bats. So I've asked, and I've been in discussion with Nate, that we put a real nice portable fence, which they make them, where you can put them out. They'll look as nice as a fence that's there all year long, but then it'll retract, and it'll be put away for the winter, and it'll look just as good. So we're in discussion, but I gotta say that at every meeting, because I can't tell you enough. If you put a permanent fence on there, you just took one of our fields away. Now the largest group is playing on 2 fields, and we can't do it. It's physically impossible. We'd have to start playing in January and finish at Christmas. So please look at a portable fence. I've talked to Nate about it, and it's a very good possibility, but please think of that portable fence, because a permanent fence will kill our program. So
Nate, was a permanent fence for the high school distance in the plan? Or was it portable? Because currently it's a,
We haven't brought that to, that would be
Okay.
coming to the board. I just want to pull this
I don't
up.
think there's a strong opinion on that from the high school perspective.
The ideal scenario, though, is to have a adult complex to the north. And we talked about that in our master plan last year. That's what came out of that. I concepted this today or yesterday just because for discussion purposes that we've had. But if we had some fast pitch fields down here and we had an adult league up here where you could serve alcohol or have that opportunity for them, and kind of separate the groups. I mean, that's the goal. That's what we want to get to. That's where we can put our grant money towards and we can get these facilities built. What we need is we need more facilities. We need to have another complex for the adult league, or for the fast pitch, whichever group that you want to speak about. But generally they use 3 fields, sometimes a 4th. This would accomplish that goal. We could do that to the north without even purchasing any land. This is within our property lines. So I just wanted to bring that as part of that discussion. I know it's not part of this
No,
group,
but
but
you're
we're
right.
trying to get there. That's
If
that's
that
the goal.
happens, all of our concerns go away because now we have fields to play on. And that's been in the works for like 7 or 8 years. Pat Mercy brought it to me a long time ago and said, we're gonna build across the street, we're gonna build you a new complex. You guys can play over there, we're gonna adapt these for other things, like Nate's talking about. That'd be awesome. Unfortunately, that was 7 years ago that was started and we're still standing there talking about it. And we still don't have the money to do it. Norfolk and whoever tried to raise that $110 million, to improve everything. Might have been a little too much. The citizens didn't go with it. But if that had ever passed, Nate could build whatever he wants and make everybody happy. So that's another subject. But yeah, the fence is important to me right now because if you put it up right now, we're done. If we build across the street in a couple years, I don't care how many permanent fences you put up on the south end. So because we still have a place to play at least. So that's all I wanted to say.
Hopefully we would have, when we bring that to the board, we would have a solution for that at the same time.
Keith and Ragland. I moved here 2 years ago. I originally come from Grand Island, and I played ball from when I was 16 years old. Slow pitch, softball, men's team, co-ed. Down in Grand Island, Hastings, and Kearney, Grand Island, we have 7 fields for adult softball. But also in Junction, they were still used as fast pitch and baseball and everything. We only play on 3 fields. Grand Island only has 38 teams in their league right now. They're trying to double our prices in our league, and we're on only 3 fields. I've heard for 2 years that our fields are going to be updated. I haven't seen nothing. When I was in Grand Island, we've played on 3 different complexes, and they never had any issues with fees or nothing. The cost of fees are a little bit more than what ours are, but you're trying to double ours, is what I'm saying. So, thank you.
So I'm hearing tonight a work session with the board about fees. Is that what I'm hearing?
I would vote yes on that.
Yes.
Yeah, I just think we just need a real thorough understanding on the fiscal piece of this whole thing. And then we can get into the weeds on what is palatable, how do we do this. I don't think there's any disagreement on facility infrastructure improvement in this room tonight at all, okay? It's how do we get there. It's not the what, it's the how. And as a board, or for me personally, I just want to make sure I really understand everything before casting a yay or nay.
I just want to say, Bill, you brought up some really good points. And the biggest one being, we've been told this for 25 years, that our fields are going to get improved. So give us a little more money. So give us a little more money. I'm not afraid of paying $10, $15, maybe even $25 a team more. We're not going to lose any teams. But if we raise it $400, we're losing a league. So also you want to put up your picture again? That's really nice. because I think that's where we need to go. Probably be after I'm done playing, but it's where we need to go for as a city. That's where we need to go. But you can't be throwing stuff on a idea that people are totally against and hope that'll pass. If you put something on a petition or a bill or a bond raising, that's going to pass. Nobody in Norfolk is against that. But it's when we throw other stuff on there that they're against that you lose your money. So you can have money if you don't get too greedy. This would pass. Look, you've got plenty of people here, and this is a 5 o'clock meeting. People are for this. You just can't be greedy and ask for, well, but we want to throw this in there, we want to throw this in there, we want to throw this in there. I would have voted for that last time if it was parks and police. If it was for the park and for the police, I would have voted for it. Too many other stuff got thrown in there, and that's where we lost the vote. Okay, thanks, guys.
Nate, I had a question. Who set the 30% cost recovery goal?
It hasn't been set yet. That's just kind of a standard. What you'll probably find when we look at our benchmark analysis, but the board and council would ultimately set that goal for me to list. This isn't going to even hardly scratch the surface. I mean, we're not talking about many dollars here. I know it's a lot for the groups, but...
So raising the fees wouldn't bring you to 30%?
No.
Okay.
Hopefully it would just keep us from going down.
And you're at about 15% right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Brant Wolf. I don't have a speech. I just have a question I'd like to clear up from something that I heard earlier in the meeting. You said that the fees for the city rec baseball, they would not go up as a result of this fee raise, correct?
I'm glad you kind of asked that question because we did talk with Dave before softball even started, and we were talking with him about a partnership, just like we did with rec baseball, which I kind of think is a little bit of a solution to some of this, because if you partnered with the city, we could potentially, a lot of those fees and stuff would not be what they are. And talking with Dave and stuff, it wasn't ready the first year, and that's fine. But it's something that I think that should be mentioned again, because I think what we're trying to do is get recreation up for the city. And so some of our solutions to doing that is partnering with some of these groups and saying, hey, we'll help you with registration process, we can help you with marketing, we can help you with communication. And I understand, obviously, Dave's been doing it for a long time, and you guys obviously are running it well. But it was hopefully a little bit of a solution to some of these issues, is if we're working with the city and we're all together, some of the stuff can go away. It happened with rec baseball. Rec baseball had so how it works is rec baseball still picked their same fees, but we collected a small portion of that fee from them after the program was completed.
I guess the issue I have with that is, of my 3 children, my boy can play city rec baseball.
Correct.
My daughter's, there's not a city rec softball option.
I totally agree.
Kelly's is the only option,
Yep.
or one of the private teams. So if the fees don't go up for boys baseball, but all of the girls are forced to pay more money
Yes.
to play ball in town, that's another issue.
Very, very much agree with you, and that has been in the works of, right when I got here, I recognized that. I said, we don't have a rec girls avenue. It was too quick, but we're trying to work with, we need help with some of the parents and people that want to be able to take that avenue, but that's definitely something in the work for next year. We really would like to be able to have a girls softball rec avenue of what you're talking about. I completely agree.
Yep, that's all. I just wanted to point out it's
Sure.
not fair if boys' fees
Yep.
don't go up, but girls have to pay.
I completely agree. Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
There was City Rec softball not too long ago, right? For girls?
Oh, man, I don't know. If
How
they
long
have
it's
that
been?
City.
4 or 5 years?
And the guys have kind of had it grandfathered in for so long, so it was kind of, we were able to slip in there really simple with the guys and work with them. They have so many people that help with that program. We need kind of that same avenue for the girls, and we're working on that because I think that would be something that would be, like you said, it would be a little bit more even across the board for some of that stuff.
Any other?
Dave
What?
had mentioned the tax. Is there something that's specifically supposed to come to parks? And is there, or is it just?
Just the Keno funds for capital improvements.
Okay. I guess I would ask, is there any other things from the public suggesting how else to cover some of these costs? Is there other ways to bring in more money and still keep what you have and what you're trying to do? Because I agree. I think we all want this to continue, but we got to make it work for everybody. How do we do that? Does anybody have any other suggestions they want to throw out?
I don't have the final answer, but as I mentioned before, asking people for money, give me more, pretty soon you're tapped out. The county raised our taxes, so everybody in town's putting in the pot. The city raised our taxes, so everybody's putting in the pot. Now, the way the city works is the city council has a pot of money, and he gets some, Rose gets some, so the city council decides that when they go have their budget meetings, which, as he said, is coming up in September. He has to present his budget, and then they approve it or disapprove it. And I'm not telling Nate what to do. Let's just say the roads guy asked for more money, because I want better roads. Well, if the council wants it, they'll give it to him. So the money's already coming in the pot because those two funds are coming together. Now, Nate's got to stick his hand out and see how much they give him. The road's got to do the same. You know, everybody in town who's got a division is going to ask for a piece of the pie. And then the city council is going to decide who gets the bigger pieces. But everybody will get a little more. So he's going to get more. I'll guarantee you that. But how much more, only the city council knows. So you guys probably, one of your goals would be to recommend that we need more money for him to survive his parks and his recreation. And so we want a bigger piece of the pie because that's important to the citizens of Norfolk. We're giving you that money. So I would say go there first. Now let's see where we're standing, and then we might have to look for other options. But the money is already going to be in the pot from the county and the city. It's just who gets it. So that's going to be, I would say, a first step because that's coming in September. So, and that's, we've been having meetings, and we're going to have more meetings next month because I got to have my budget figured out by September, and he's got to have his figured out. So we're going to have to come to terms here on something real quick. But I'd like to know the answer to that, how much you're going to get, which unfortunately comes after our meetings. But that's
Well,
one answer.
the other thing that was mentioned here is how much tournaments and just games bring into the city. Restaurants and hotels and
Chambers have some of those numbers.
gas and those kind of
Back
things.
when we were big and we were bringing a tournament every month, the chamber knows how much money, I mean, it's like $1 million for a big tournament. Like she said she had, with all the motels and all the food and all the gas and all the stores that sold clothes, it's in the millions, and the chamber's got proof of that.
Yeah.
But right now, we're just running on bare minimums, and we're fighting over the fields because we had a pretty good argument about the Golden Girls wanted my fields, the adult fields, and I wanted them. Well, who's gonna get them because we don't have enough fields? But that money comes to town, but not near as often because people can't afford to do it every weekend or every month. So it's a double-edged sword. If you charge them too much, then they don't go to any tournament. Charge them less, they may go to more tournaments. So there's no real answer for that. But the budget is the key thing, and with taxes already being raised, that's over the hump. That's a big part. It's coming in. Now you just gotta figure out who gets it. So that you gotta recommend to the city council.
But I think it's important that that money keeps coming in.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think anybody wants that to go away, so.
No, I'm not saying you can't charge taxes, but I'm saying you already raised them.
Yep.
And the county already raised them, so the money's coming into the pot. Now the city has to distribute it the right way, so that's the council. And you guys got a big part of that. You're a new board. Say, we need more money to keep our program going, and we can't keep banging the same people who've been paying it for 45 years. Give us some of that money so all the citizens improve our parks. And then they can come play, or they can come have their kids play in the parks or in the swimming pool. You don't have to raise those fees because you already got them raised by all those people paying it. You gotta sell that, but that's a fact, so.
But to be fair, if we're talking revenue sources, you know, the increase in lodging and all that, that is not a direct correlation of recreation funding.
No.
But I don't want the public to be.
Yeah, if you took it that way, I didn't mean that.
But I just want to be clear on that. And then just because the county raised taxes doesn't mean that's a direct correlation going to recreation. In fact, if there's other revenue sources, I guarantee you the city council is going to be faced with a room with 3 times as many people. Bob, what other tax are you going to lower? So that's this complicated matrix I think we all are aware of.
It is. But what I'm saying is this year, they've already raised city taxes and they've already raised county taxes. So that money's coming in this year. It's a good year to get your hand out and get it. Now next year there may be no tax raise and you're sitting there, no money coming in. So you're right. But you gotta, when the money's coming in, you gotta grab it. When I used to be on the council, when we'd raise taxes or somebody would donate money, there was a line out the door saying, can I have some of that? And then you got a big problem because you got to pick, do you get some, do you get some, you know? And it's a tough deal because you got to turn some people down. You can't turn the softball people down, but you can turn other people down.
I have an answer for your question. So my family's business sponsors.
Could you come up to the board, please?
So my family's business sponsors a softball team this year. And if it's $100 higher of a fee next year, we'll probably do it again. If it's double fees next year, we'll probably say like, no, you know, let's think of a different way to advertise. You know what I'm saying? I think it's just we got to go baby steps. We can't.
A tiered approach, you would say, maybe like a.
Yeah, I mean we all understand that we can't keep operating and not paying more money. Everything's more expensive. Everything we do costs more money, and we all know it. But we just can't drop a bomb like that. Thanks.
Any other public comment? Any comments from the board? Good. I would look for a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting.
Entertain a motion to adjourn.
A second.
Please vote.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
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 Meeting adjourned. Thank you.